So you guys taught me to kind of just chill it out, Tom, and got me loosened up a bit, which was really good. Talking about that sort of thing, relationship, like, and what we kind of tend to do as surfers and what this movie is actually connecting with culture around the world and the different types of cultures through the language of surfing. Can you give us some stories of that in your experience? Like the language, well, it just breaks down language barriers. It's my experience surfing.
Yeah.
So you can go to Japan, you can all kind of connect because you're surfing. You go to Chile, you can all kind of connect. You know, you can go to Portugal, you can all kind of connect. It's South, you know, I mean, you're all over the world.
Yeah.
Can you share some experiences of that?
In a lot of ways, it's like music, right? Like music is another thing that like everyone can sit in a room and listen to music and kind of feel the groove, right? Surfing, I feel has got a lot of similarities to music. Like there's no rules. There's endless possibilities, and it's always evolving and changing. Someone can walk in the room with a bongo and like just add that element to it, and here we go. Like okay. But I had a good one. I think maybe the most memorable. I was probably 19 and I was in Fiji, and I was staying on a little island called Benga. I think that's how it's pronounced, Benga, I believe. And we were staying in this village, and you weren't allowed to surf on Sundays, which was really strange. And you had to go to church. So I had to put a dress on and go to church, and I went to church, and I walked out, and I asked if I could go for a swim, and they said, no, you're not allowed to go in the ocean today. So I sat down, and 14 bowls of kava later, with the locals not being able to communicate at all, I just sat there and waited until they handed me a nice fresh bowl of kava. I crawled back to my room, I went to sleep. When I woke up the next day, there was a cyclone that passed really close by. Because the way we had surfed is like an hour boat ride out to the reef. But the cyclone was so close that it made waves on the island. And they'd never seen, we were in this village and they'd never seen anyone surf. And there's a clip, it was at the end of one of Taylor Steele's movies, and you're kind of standing on the shoreline, and there's a bunch of Fijian kids. They brought them down from the school, and you see me just right away. I mean, the wave was this big, but we were bored, and we were like, hey, there's a wave, let's go surf it, no big deal. And they thought we were like aliens. Like they were touching our surfboards when we came in, but the shot is really cool. The kids are literally jumping up and down, waving their arms and screaming. And it was really kind of crazy. I'm sure you have some stories.
Oh yeah, the Mentawai. When we first went to the Mentawai, there was this place we were naming places. It was 1992. It was the first charter that we knew that went up there. There's been people sort of made their way out there with their camping gear and got on ferries and so on that I knew that camped in bushes and so on. But this was a charter. The guy didn't even know. He didn't know who we had on board. There was some pots and there was a few Ross Scott Jones and a few maniacs. We didn't.
Mellow crew.
Just a mellow crew. But we didn't bring any camera. We said no camera on the trip. We're just going with our mates, and we're doing that. And we just and it was Martin Daly who's got the Indies Trader, boats and travel, charter program now. But he was a rig diver for the Indonesian government, and so he just ran dive charters out there, and we just so happened to be able to get him. And he didn't know he had a bunch of surfers on board. However, he did surf. And he said, we're going to go and find some waves, but I'm not going to show you where we're going. But he's just sort of fooled us with the maps too. He put the maps on the table, so he eventually called the islands the Weather Fakawis, because we didn't know where the fuck we were. But we ended up at all these different spots, and we were naming them, because they didn't have any names. So, and we found this point break went down the side of this little village, little right-hander, and we call it Screamers because all the kids from the village were screaming every time we took off on the way. They'd scream from the time you just, yeah! And they'd just like run along the rocks, just, yes! What's going on? So we ended up going in to see the village and see the whole crew. It was a pretty amazing experience, very primitive village in the middle of the Mentawai at that point. There was no other sort of surfers around, but yeah, I had that experience. It was really heartwarming, and it just touches you.
What other spots did you name?
we named Iceland. We named Burger World. Burger World's like a right-hand point, right? And when we pulled up to that one morning, it was this sort of capping. We were looking for the biggest waves we could find, right? And it was a booming swell, and it was early in the morning. We'd come up to this wave on this island, and Martin said, "Oh, I think there might be a wave off this island." We got there, and there's this bommy breaking outside, and it was just flat. And Ross and I was going, "Yeah, boring," He's just, boring. To next, So, of course, but we ended up surfing it, and it was such a burger. We just called it Burger World, but it stuck.
Yeah.
But it's actually, we didn't even know that at that time, but there was a beautiful little right-hand point on the inside of it when it gets small that everyone thrives on today.
I want to say I saw a photo from that trip that was maybe shot with like a little point and shoot camera, and it looks like it's like a 20-foot wave. Is this correct? Is it
This
from
is
that trip?
the first trip. Yeah, that's it down at Engano.
And it was like you and Ross Clark Jones and Potts, and it was like, I've never seen a wave that big in the Mentawais. You guys...
We just lucked out, and that was a pretty tricky kind of day, literally. So, things got big. We got kicked out by the size because the balls just got too small.
Wow.
And we ended up calling the wave laxatives. But yeah, anyway, travel got us moving, and the spirit of the endless summit, Dick got us moving.
It's inspiring in so many ways. Naming spots, all the above. But what are we talking about? Kelly, high five.
Kelly, high five.
Where are we going with that?
Yeah. So what about Kelly?
He's a maniac.
Yeah, he is.
Competitive maniac. Oh, I was going to tell a story, yeah. He came and stayed at my house one time, and there was a contest at my home spot, Seaside Reef. And I'm like, all right. So it's the morning of the last day, and we're in the quarterfinals, and they're going to run the rest of the comp. And I go,